Hey everybody, Bonehead from the Bonehead podcast, and it's the middle of the night, but it's worth it because we have finally got breaking news. We've finally got brand new Blood Bowl. I say brand new miniatures, but they're bringing back a team of legends. We have got Chaos Dwarves coming back to Blood Bowl. Okay, so the news has just dropped over on the preview stream. I don't think they've got an article up yet covering it, but it is going to be Chaos Dwarves. Now, I did grab a couple of pictures as they were going through, but let's talk about what we know because there's some cool stuff. So first things first, it is going to be Chaos Dwarves, and we have got a Hobgoblin model. So for those of you that are listening rather than watching on YouTube, if you've seen the most recent kind of orcs from Age of Sigmar, the ones with like the shields with the faces, I can't remember what they're called, the stinky mud people or something, they've kind of got that style. Imagine a goblin, but a bigger goblin, and they've kind of got like a baboon style mobility to them. They look cool. They look cool. They don't look rubbish. Hobgoblins are so gnarly to get right. We've seen some third-party teams really crush it, and we've seen some third-party teams really not. So it's cool to see this. So we've got Hobgoblins and we've got a Chaos Dwarf here. Okay, standard Chaos Dwarf. So the style that they've gone with is the kind of what is it? It's kind of a series, the classic beard curls, right? They've got big hats. They've got big hats. They do look like big hats. They look like kind of like big shin pads on the top of their helmets. They've got big hats. They've got tusks. They are just Chaos Dwarves. They do look... Do you know what? I think they look perfectly balanced between the 3rd edition big hat lads that we all know and love and the reimagined Forge World ones. So you've got like kind of like the Syrian style, like ancient Syrian beard style. You've got all the kind of finery of dwarves, but you've mixed it with chaos bits. But that's not the interesting thing. We've got hobgoblins, we've got Chaos Dwarf blockers, or whatever they're going to be called now. Now they have got 2 new positionals. In fact, the first one I showed off, that hobgoblin, is a new positional. On the stream they called him the sneaky stabber, or the snip snap lad chap or something, which sounds a little bit yeah, bar mitzvah-y. But Sneaky Stabber is one of the new positionals that comes in the box, apparently. He's got a knife. It's called a Sneaky Stabber. Going to assume that they have stab. Now, one thing they talked about on the stream is that the Spike has got the information for the classic Hobgoblin team. So if this team has got Hobgoblins and they've got Sneaky Stab chaps, actually it adds a bit more interest to it. Then you've got the Chaos Dwarf. Then you have got the new positional that is a Chaos Dwarf called the Flame Spitter. Now, they've described this positional as being able to spit flames. This is a really straightforward one, this team, isn't it? The designer guy, Jay, described it basically as saying they can drink this alchemical solution so they can breathe flames. Sometimes they overdo it and they set themselves on fire instead. So it feels, I don't know, like, are we talking, it feels like troll vomit? That's kind of how troll vomit works. So it might be that they basically just have troll vomit, which would be really interesting because you've got a team then with stab lads and then fire vomit guys. So a traditionally bash team has now got non-bash damage causing effects potentially, which could be a really interesting twist on Chaos Dwarves. And the last bit that we grabbed a screenshot of is Bull Centaurs. So Sneaky Stabbers, Hobgoblins, Flamesmiths, Chaos Dwarf blockers, all in the box. The Bull Centaurs, a 2-pack from Forge World. So there's some great information there in that they are keeping Bull Centaurs, which was going to be one of the biggest questions for Chorfs, to be honest with you. And they're keeping them, as a pack of 2, which means you are going to be able to run 2 in the team, which is cool, which means that hasn't changed either. They did not mention, come on, where's the full article drop? They did not mention whether there's a Minotaur. That was not mentioned, and the interviewer even mentioned like, oh, I played halflings and the treeman, you know, was the only one that could take it on, and literally there was like this moment of silence where no one talked about you know, Yeah, but there's a Minotaur that can also help them. So, don't know about that. Don't know about that. What I do know is we've got 2 brand new positionals. We've got the Flamesmith and we've got the Stabberman. So you've got more Hobgoblins, you've got more Shorts. We don't know whether they're losing a couple of blockers or something to make room for the Flame guys. And we don't know if there's going to be a Minotaur. What we do know is that in the Spike 18, there is going to be 3 star player spotlights. So in the Gnome book, I think we had 2 and Acorn, right? Rowana, Fisher Boy, and Acorn. Rodney and Acorn. So in this one, we're going to get 3. So 3 Chaos Dwarf star players are going to drop as part of this as well, which is cool. Come on, I want to see the full release. Full release, where is the full release? Come on. I tell you what, I logged on to the stream and it kicked off before 2 a.m. I was like, this is interesting. They're clearly eager and wanting to get crack on. I'm assuming that the interviews from the designers were pre-recorded. But, right, Bull Centaurs. So they're keeping the Bull Centaurs. They've done a really good job here. You've got this kind of the shot of the Forge World model. The new basing style is good. The model looks chunky. Like, you've got the Chaos Dwarf, and it is just a Chaos Dwarf torso on a big bull body. So I'm assuming that's a 40mm base size. So he's going to be quite girthy on the Blood Bowl pitch, which is, I think, appropriate given Bull Centaurs. So they're keeping 2 Centaurs. They've got Stabmen, they've got Flamesmith, they've got Chaos Dwarf lineman. They may or may not have a Minotaur. They're getting 3 star players in the book, and Iron Hard Skin is a skill that all the Chaos Dwarves are going to get. Now, they didn't say if they were going to get them and they were going to lose another skill or anything like that. What they did say is that Ironhard Skin is going to get updated so that it ignores all modifiers to armor. So it is going to ignore Claws and Mighty Blow, and it'd be interesting to see how it works with like Dirty Player and stuff like that. Would I assume it would work? I think thematically, yeah, because they basically said that because Chaos Dwarves, they are slowly turning into stone due to their magic and flame things, that that kind of represents the fact that they're just really tough. They're just really tough and really resilient. And they're slowly turning to stone, so the Ironhard Skin skill fits nicely with their kind of lore in that regard. And I think it's a pretty interesting way of separating them from dwarfs, right? I mean, Chaos Dwarves is just a really interesting team anyway, because you've got the Hobgoblins and you've got the Bull Centaurs, so you've got like a really interesting mix of players. Like you've got the standard linemen, the blockers that are there to just control the line and be really good in combat but not too good in combat. Then you've got the Hobgoblins that can run around and score the touchdowns, which is what they said on the stream, with a bit of a stab, a bit of a flame as well. Do you know what, if they're introducing the Flamesmith and stabbers, I could see the Minotaur being removed from the roster, because it gives you enough variability and it just takes that bit away. And I know that they weren't too keen on the Minotaur because they changed it because it was enslaved. And they were like, well, get rid of slaves. Let's not talk about slaves anymore. And I don't know. I mean, the Minotaur's a divisive one, which I like. I like the fact that you can go Chorf with a Minotaur or Chorf with Bull Centaur. I think it gives you that nice flexibility. Currently, boom, here we go. Here is the article. So let's F11, zoom in a little bit. Here we go. So hats off to Hashut's finest. You've got the interview there, which is really, really cool. But this is the shot of the team. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 players in this box. So after years in the wilderness, banned from the official Blood Bowl tournaments, the Chaos Dwarves are back, relegated to playing their own leagues in the inhospitable Darklands. They've honed their skills through trial by literal fire and are ready to set the gridiron ablaze. So in the box, let's have a look. What have we got? We've got Flame Man here, Flame Man here. So 2 Flame Men, 1, 2, 3, 4 Dwarf blockers. So it looks like, in the box at least, which I think if you look at the way Games Workshop have been releasing their teams, it's very much like the box plus big guys and stuff. So 6 Chaos Dwarf blockers, 2 of them are Flame Boys. So whether they're additional skills or replacing skills, I love this bit. Right, and then we look at Hobgoblins. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 standard looking Hobgoblins, and then 2 with knives, which again I think makes a lot of sense. So 14, so 6 standard goblins, 4 Chaos Dwarf blockers. There's your 10. Then you can add a couple of Flame Boys, a couple of Stab Lads, and then potentially a man horse or two, which is really cool. So well, I'm not going to read the fluff on that because it's not necessary. The most important parts of Blood Bowl, putting the hurt on opponents with bone-snapping blocks, falls to the Chaos Dwarf blockers who approach the sport with the same demented ferocity with which they hammer out arms in their sweltering workshop. So there are the 4 Chaos Dwarf blockers with the tall hats. I like the tall hats. Right, they've done a very good job with these models. They look very similar to the Punga ones. I think they look very similar to the Punga ones, which is kind of cool because it's a good style. Probably just means that Punga were just like, let's just take the Chaos Dwarf style. I mean, Chaos Dwarves have got a very iconic style, haven't they? So despite their typical head-on approach, the Chaos Dwarves now add in a little magical spice with the new Flamesmiths. These cackling pyromaniacs are trained under the maddest and most powerful of sorcerers and literally now breathe fire at their opponents. What a better way to prevent a touchdown than setting the ball carrier on fire. Yeah, no, absolutely agree with that. Okay, so 2 Flamesmiths, alt hand, alt head, same body. It's kind of a subtle pose. He's got like a little bottle, kind of like a hip flask, just like in his hand. And he's just drinking flames. Okay, that's absolutely fine. Crucially, the Chaos Dwarves have also leaned into the devious nature of the Hobgoblins, whose sneaky stabbers, thin out the field with a well-placed knife thrust when the referee isn't looking. So here are the 2 sneaky stabbers. Oh, dude, the sculpts of these Hobgoblins are really good. They are really, really, really fun. This is going to be very popular. Alt head and a set of alt arms on that one. So at least 2 sneaky stabbers are going to look differently. While the line of scrimmage becomes a bar brawl and fire is flying left and right, it's down to the bull centaurs to smash through the skirmish. Yes, the best players in Blood Bowl are also back, ready to sack ball carriers and canter in clutch touchdowns. First of all, are they the best player in Blood Bowl? They're definitely up there, but they're not, you know, are they war dancers? Are they gutter runners, you know? Unnatural fusions of Dwarf and Bull, these bestial blitzers embody the true nature of Hashut, something for opposition players to mull over, even as they are trampled into unconsciousness under the iron-shod hooves. Note that the Bull Centaurs are sold in separate packs of 2 and cast in Forge World resin. So we saw the one on the right who's doing the lean, and you've got the other one who's doing the classic pose of kind of like standing up and screaming. All right, here we go. Ooh, we got some rules. So, how do they play? Long-term worshippers of Hashut will note that while Chaos Dwarfs are largely familiar, there's some changes to their rules. Chaos Dwarf teams are sturdy, as befitting the short stature of the blockers, but they're unusually versatile for Blood Bowl thanks to Bull, Centaurs and Hobgoblins. Chaos Dwarf blockers no longer start with the tackle skill. This has been replaced by Iron Hard Skin, which prevents any adjustment to their armor value. Even claws are blunted by this, so they will always be hard to hurt at a formidable armor 10+. So no tackle on the blockers. Flamesmiths provide a new avenue. In offense, Breathe Fire will leave players prone. It may even knock them down, though this is being Blood Bowl, they're perfectly capable of knocking themselves over. Okay, so the Breathe Fire trait. So no tackle on the blockers. I think there's going to be some oh dear about that in the Chaos Dwarf place. As a player, I'm a bit of an edge guy, and having block and tackle on dwarves can be a little bit frustrating, I suppose. So that's not. I get it. Right, Breathe Fire. Once per activation, instead of performing a block action, either on its own or as part of a blitz. So when a fire lad blocks or blitzes, this player may perform a Breathe Fire special action. Once per activation, not once per team turn. So 2, if you've got 2 fire lads, they can both do it. When a player makes a Breathe Fire special action, they may choose one standing opposition player they're marking and roll a d6. So mark a guy and roll a dice. Apply -1 if that target is strength 5 or more. Apply -1. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, they're attacking a big target. It's -1. On a 1, the player gets over eager, engulfing themselves in flame, and is immediately knocked down. So, right, I can see some rule stuff. On a 2 to 3, the opposition player ducks the gout and nothing happens. On a 4+, the opposition player takes the ball of fire straight to the face and is immediately placed prone. So placed prone is not armor roll. Placed prone is just put down. If they've got the ball will come out, however. If the roll is a natural 6, therefore the -1 doesn't apply. The potent pyro has taken its toll and the opposition player is knocked down, so basically as if they've been powed. After breathe fire, this player's activation immediately ends, so you can't fire then run away. Okay, so -1. The question will be raised by you guys, I know. What if the result is a 0? If you roll a 1 and it's -1, is it still a 1? The old wildly inaccurate thing. I think I can speak for all of Blood Bowl when I say yes. A 1 is going to be a 1, and a 2 that's reduced to a 1 that's a 2. Right, a 1 is a 1. If it's got a -1 to it, it's a 0. I'm assuming with the way these rules work, a 0 will count as a 1. I assume -1 just takes it down to a minimum of 1. So if you are hitting a big guy with the flame, natural 6, they drop. They're knocked down. 5, they are prone, and a 1 or 2. You are immediately knocked down, and I think immediately knocked down will cause a turnover, right? If an active player becomes knocked down, it becomes a turnover. I believe that's the case. We'll have to double check it. Right, hobgoblins remain the same, though sneaky stabbers use shadowing and stab to stay uncomfortably close to high value opposition players. Assuming they're movement 6, shadowing is not brilliant, but it's a freebie, and they've got stab, so okay, perhaps to jab them between the ribs if they get a glance at the end zone. That's fine. Look, stab is great. So this team could potentially have 2 stab and 2, I don't know, souped up troll vomit, I guess. Bull Centaurs remain lightning quick and most definitely still function as sackers or scorers depending on how you decide to spec them out. And Minotaur is very much a Minotaur. Okay, the team keeps the Minotaur. This is fantastic. What a great article. This has actually answered most of the questions. This isn't the last we'll hear from these dwarves and their belligerent bovine adjacent blitzers, so check back on Warhammer Community for the latest Blood Bowl news. All right, let's wrap up, and I'm then going to go to bed. We've got Chaos Dwarves. They keep Minotaurs. They've got 2 Bull Centaurs, 4 Chaos Blockers from the looks of it, 2 additional Chaos Blockers that can then breathe flames, which is like a... It's not even Troll Vomit. Troll Vomit's just rolled against armor. It's kind of like a weird chainsaw effect, isn't it? Basically, 4 or 5 plus, your target is going prone, but you can stack it on a 1 or a 2 depending on what you're trying to throw fire at. That's quite interesting. They've got armor 10 plus, so even if you knock yourself down, probably going to be a turnover, but probably going to be absolutely fine. I'm assuming as they're dwarves, they're going to end up with thick skull as well, so armor 10 plus infinity with thick skull is going to mean this team's good to go. They've got 2 stabbers now as well, so you've got fire, fire, stab, stab. The dwarf blockers don't have tackle, but they are still likely to have block. Ironhard skin is just armor 10 plus forever and a day, and the models are super cool. So Chaos Dwarves just straight up got a glow up. I know depending on the spec of the Fireboys and the cost of the spot, this is something that we were concerned about going into the Teams of Legend. Looking at all the Teams of Legend, Chorfs are an interesting one because they've got cheap Hobgoblins, but the Line Dwarves and the Centaurs are pricey. So if the Flame Boys are much more expensive than the Blockers, you might end up losing a bit of bench. But as the blockers don't have tackle, they might go down in value a little bit. So this is the cool bit now where we start trying to figure out what's going to go on. But I think we're pretty set with the idea of this team. Love the style, love the models. I love that they are back. I love that they're keeping the Minotaur with a box and with a pack of Bull Centaurs. You're pretty much going to be good to go, quite sharpish. And there were some, whoa, there were some sneaky pics of the pitch in the background as well, which looks very flamey, and I am going to use that as inspiration, there we go, to start building a Chaos Dwarf pitch ready for when this team drops. But for now, it is bedtime, and I want to know what you guys think about this team, because this is good. We've got Blood Bowl news. Blood Bowl's back. It makes me feel very happy. Right, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Happy flame spitting. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to support the channel even further, please like and subscribe. It really does help us out. Or come join us on YouTube members or in Patreon, where you can get exclusive access to some content, some loot, early access to basically everything we do, as well as regular competitions.
or you can pick up some Bonehead Podcast loot either on our website at boneheadpodcast.com. We've got the Dungeon Bowl things, we've got tokens and stuff like that, or on our Spreadshirt site as well. Everything you do just helps us make more content and hopefully do it of better quality. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Happy blocking.